Welcome everybody. This is the little church on the hill, Gravel Ridge General Baptist Church. We are located at 15914 Highway 107, Sherwood, Arkansas, what used to be called Gravel Ridge, Arkansas. Our service times on Sunday morning, Sunday school is at 10 a.m. and our worship service starts at 11. Wednesday night we have a Bible study class from 6 to 7 p.m. All are welcome. We just ask that you be ready to hear the Word of God and experience the love of Jesus. Now, from June 1916 through October 1918, during World War I, in the Middle Eastern theater of the war, was an uprising against the great Ottoman Empire called the Arab Revolt. This revolt was fighting for a unified and independent Arab state. On July 6, 1917, there was a battle for a key Red Sea port called, I forgot to check, Lauren, Aqaba, A-Q-A-B-A, Aqaba. This was a port held by the great Ottoman Empire. This port was key to having control of this area. Since Aqaba in 1917 seemed impregnable, any enemy vessel approaching the port from the sea would have to face a battery of huge naval guns above the town. Behind Aqaba in every direction lay barren, waterless, and hospitable desert, and to the east lay the deadly area called the Anvil of the Sun. This was a vast expanse of broken, sun-blasted earth. This area of land was considered to be nearly impossible landmass to travel. Food is scarce and water was even scarcer. This area of land had frequent high-energy sandstorms. But the Turks believed Aqaba to be safe from any attack. But they were wrong. Lawrence of Arabia led a force of irregular Arab cavalry across the Anvil of the Sun. Together they rallied support among the local people, and on July 6, 1917, the Arab forces swept into Aqaba from the north, from the blind side, the impossible desert to cross. A climatic moment of the magnificent film we've all probably seen, Lawrence of Arabia, is the long panning shot of the Arabs on their camels and their horses, with Lawrence at their head, galloping past the gigantic naval guns that are completely powerless to stop them. The guns were facing the wrong direction. They were pointed towards the sea, where they just knew they would be invaded from. Aqaba fell and the Turkish hold on Palestine was broken, to be replaced by the British Mandate and eventually by the State of Israel. The Ottoman Empire failed to defend Aqaba because they made two mistakes. They did not know their enemy, and then they did not have the right weapons. The title of today's message is Life is a battleground, not a playground. Who is it we're fighting? We face the enemy every day, and for most of us, we don't take that enemy serious. We underestimate that opponent. For a lot of us, we don't even recognize him as somebody worth our time, somebody we need to worry with, somebody we need to be worried about. Every day we are in a battle with ourselves and with others. Somebody hurts our feelings. Somebody acts hostile towards us. Somebody wrongs us. Maybe we battle with temptations. Maybe we battle with controlling our emotions. Or maybe we battle with making a decision. What is the right thing to do? Maybe our conscience gives us a daily battle. Should I or shouldn't I? Whether we realize it or not, we're in the middle of a battle every day a spiritual battle. I want to read y'all a quick excerpt out of a book called Spiritual Warfare by Ray Stedman. He tells us that our conflict is not against flesh and blood. That it is spiritual warfare. That is spiritual warfare is not about the struggle of man against man. It's not a political struggle, a social struggle, an economic struggle, or even a religious theological doctrine struggle. It is not a struggle between human beings. It is a struggle within human beings. He says, let me ask you a question. What is the one thing that gives you the most difficulty in life? For most of us, the answer to that question, in one form or another, boils down to one thing: people. Even my man agreed with me. You may struggle intensely with a family member, your spouse, or child, or a parent. Or you may have personality conflicts and struggles in your office, or in your church, or in your neighborhood. But the Apostle Paul says that our struggle is not against flesh and blood. Our true battle is not against our political opponents. It's not against the IRS, our family, our co-workers, our neighbors, or any other human agency. The battle is not against people, but against unseen spiritual powers. In fact, the entire human race is under a vicious assault by certain principalities and powers, world rulers of darkness, wicked spirits in high places. Today, this is what I want to talk about. I don't want us to make the same mistake as the great Ottoman Empire and lose to our enemy because, one, we don't recognize them, and two, we don't know how to defend ourselves. This is something we need to take seriously. And today we might be able to answer some of our questions on why the world acts like it does. If you have your Bible, you can turn to Ephesians 6. If you don't have your Bible, I will have the scripture we're going to talk about on the screen today. Last week we talked about we need to be strong in the Lord and in the power of His might. And when we put on the armor of God, we will be able to stand against the schemes of the devil. One thing we need to understand, we're not asked to join this spiritual army. We're not asked to volunteer for service. Paul does not ask you to enter into the battle. You are in a battle whether you want to admit it or not. We do not have the ability to remain neutral in this war. You will have to choose a side. This is serious stuff that I believe is not discussed enough. So today I want to talk about the opponents that all Christians have to face. If you're in Ephesians chapter 6, go to verse 12. It says, "For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places." Paul's first word in this verse is "for." This word is used to let the reader know that the writer, we're about to explain something. Paul told us in the previous verses that we're going against the wiles of the devils, the schemes of the devil. Now Paul's about to explain what he's talking about, what we need to know about this enemy. He's going to give us a description of this force we face. The next word he uses is we, W-E. That is all of us. That is me, you, them, Christians, non-Christians, atheists, whatever you want to say. It is we. It's all of us. Then he says we all wrestle with this force. Paul tells us that we do not wrestle against flesh and blood. In this whole verse, Paul uses the word against 5 times. This emphasizes we are facing an opponent. We're going against something. Then Paul uses the word wrestling. He don't say fight, he don't say battle, but he uses wrestling. Now I know some of us grew up watching Mid-South Wrestling. Some of us watch WWE now. Some of us have seen wrestling on TV at some point in time. But during Paul's time, there was a sport called Greco-Roman wrestling. They even have this now. It's in the Olympics. It's where you see the guys on the mat and they flip and try and pin their guy and everything. But this was a popular recreational sport for the Roman soldiers during Paul's time. The whole object was to knock your opponent down and remain on your feet. If you did that 3 times, then you were considered the winner. You'd get knocked down, you'd get back up. Maybe you knock your opponent down, they would get back up. It was a back and forth match. But the thing about wrestling is you're going to get knocked down and you get back up and face your opponent again. This is the same thing with the opponent we face. We will get knocked down. You will stumble, you will fall, you will get knocked down. But you need to get back up and face that opponent again. Paul tells us we do not wrestle against flesh and blood. So think about this for a minute. Think about the last person that did something to you that made you mad. Or ask yourself, was it that person in that force? Or was it that person? Or was there something controlling, manipulating that person that caused this big conflict? Have you ever asked yourself, why is that person acting this way? What is wrong with them today? What has got into them? We hear those saying, did they wake up on the wrong side of the bed? Why are they so hostile today? What did I do to make them so mad? Remember what Ray Stedman said. Our biggest thing that gives us difficulty in life is other people. Taking a quote from the excerpt we read earlier, the Apostle Paul says our struggle is not against flesh and blood. Our true battle is not against our political opponent or the IRS, our family members, or our co-workers, or our neighbors. The battle is not against people, but unseen spiritual forces. One of the devil's greatest schemes is for us not to want to admit or realize this. If he can keep you from thinking about this, realizing this, or admitting this, he's operating in stealth mode. But the next time somebody crosses you, next time somebody makes you mad, somebody acts out to you, keep this in mind. Our problem is we all want to battle in the flesh and blood. Somebody wrongs us, we fight back on the same level. Somebody wrongs us, we want to start a smear campaign. Somebody wrongs us, we want to retaliate against them. We want to get hateful back. We want to fight fire with fire. Things might even turn into a forceful fight. Some people feel like they have the last word. No matter what, they have to seek revenge. But this is a great scheme of the devil. It's for us to think we're battling each other in the flesh and not him. Think about this the next time somebody wrongs you. Paul goes on to give us a description of what we are actually wrestling against. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places. Now, principalities, this would be like the authority of a prince, a lower level of rulership. It is the order of angels in the lower level. And then it says against powers. This is a force we go against. Think of a whole nation's force, their military. We might use the word the U.S.'s great military force. The Russians' military force. This is a great, powerful force. And then it says the rulers of darkness of this age. This word here, the Greek word, was referring to Satan here. And then we go on to talk about spiritual hosts of wickedness. This is a demonic force with an evil nature. The word used in the Greek dictionary, it is a word used to describe something that is malicious and morally corrupt. So our opponent is malicious and morally corrupt. They are a great force that we have to reckon with. But out of all this description here, there was one word I got hung up on. And my lovely wife bought me something I've been wanting for about a year and a half. It's a dictionary or a Bible in Greek and in Hebrew. Hebrew. And you can actually find what some of these words truly mean. So I got hung up on the word darkness. The Greek word for darkness is skotos. Translates to figurative darkness. This is a place where darkness reigns. This is a place absent of spiritual light and truth. This is a sphere in which light is absent. This is where we get the term the outer darkness. The place where God is absent. This word is also used to describe a man or a person that darkness has taken control of. This word can describe a state of moral darkness in a person, a wicked man under the influence of Satan. So what is the effects of darkness on a man? In the dark, you grope around with uncertainty. You're blinded. You don't know which way to go. You get scared, but you grope around. In darkness, you cannot see, and you do not know which way to turn. In darkness, you do not know right from wrong. You are lost in the dark. More than anything, we have to remember that the word skotos is used to describe somebody that darkness has taken control of. So we need to remember this the next time we encounter somebody that is giving us a hard time, that we are having a heated exchange with. Are we battling that person, or are we battling Satan? Somebody we cannot figure out, why are they acting like this to me? What did I do to deserve this? Why am I having this disagreement with my coworker, my neighbor, my kids, my spouse? Are we going to let ourselves get sucked into this trap? It's a trap set for us. Are we going to give into trying to fight this battle on a fleshly level instead of a spiritual level? Are we going to try and battle the problem ourselves by acting out in the flesh with revenge, hatred, let our emotions take control instead of the Holy Spirit? This word describes a place where the devil is in control. We have to remember we're in a continual wrestling match. We're in a back and forth match. When you get knocked down, you have to get up. When darkness takes control of you and you cannot see, you don't know which way to turn, you're blinded, you don't know right from wrong. Once you're revealed, you got to get back up. This is a place the devil wants to keep us because he can control us. When we don't take our opponent seriously enough, that is when we are able to get overrun like the Ottoman Empire. Oh, he's nothing to worry about. Oh, Satan's nothing. That's just voodoo. I don't want to talk about that anyways. That just gives me the ooh. Why would we want to talk about that? Why would we want to waste our time? We don't talk about Satan around here. Let's talk about something else. That is why it's important to know our enemy and how to defend ourselves. And the first step is to realize that we're not fighting against flesh and blood, but against a spiritual force of darkness. Before we finish today, I want to look at one example in the Bible of somebody trying to fight. I want to look at somebody trying to fight an evil spirit. If you want to turn, you can. I'm in the book of Acts, chapter 19. Well, I'm going to have some scriptures on the board too. Acts chapter 19, verse 11 and 12 says, Now God worked unusual miracles by the hands of Paul. We all know Paul, Apostle Paul. He was a great man of God. So that even handkerchiefs or aprons were brought from his body to the sick. And the diseases left them, and the evil spirits went out of them. It was safe to say Paul was a great warrior when it comes to spiritual battles. Paul was working great miracles. Paul was a great example of somebody we would follow as an example in spiritual warfare. Then if we go down to verse 13, then it says, Then some of the itinerant Jewish exorcists, I looked up the word, that's traveling people, took it upon themselves to call the name of the Lord Jesus over those who had evil spirits, saying, We exorcise you by the Jesus whom Paul preaches. Also there were 7 sons of Sceva, a Jewish chief priest, who did so also. Now, itinerant Jewish exorcists, they used a lot of ceremonial ways. Jewish people were big on ceremonial ways. And they used a lot of superstitional ways, just like the Jewish people were accustomed to. But verse 14 tells us, there were 7 sons of Sceva, and he was a Jewish chief priest. Could you imagine the pride that man was full of? Well, if he can do it, then I can do it because I'm a chief priest. Paul can cast out evil spirits, then I can do the same thing. So what happened here? So the first problem was the sons of Sceva was they did not know their opponent. And they did not take their opponent serious. Let's look in verse 15. And the evil spirit answered, I'm sorry, I got this on the screen. What happened next? I'm sorry, I got wound up here. The spirit said, hey, there's a problem here. And he told them, the evil spirit answered and said, Jesus I know, Paul I know, but who are you? I imagine I'm the chief priest, and I still don't know you. Who are you? Evil spirits know their opponent. They know their enemies. They know the power they have, but they also know the authority Jesus has over them. The evil spirits knew that the 7 sons of Sceva had no relationship with Jesus. So they had no spiritual power over them. What this did was made them an easy target, a weak target to attack. They're trying to bring a stick to a gunfight. So what was the result of this? Look at verse 16. Then the man in whom the evil spirit was leaped on them. The man that was possessed with the evil spirit leaped on the 7 sons of Sceva, overpowered them, and prevailed against them, so that they fled out of the house naked and wounded. In other words, you can say they got their butt whooped. Do we ever go through life feeling wounded, beat up, like we're a ball in a pinball machine? Maybe we feel like a punching bag. Nothing we do goes right. Everything is so hard and difficult for us. Maybe we feel like we got our butt whooped and don't know why. What did I do to deserve this? There is a lot of churchgoers today that are in the same boat as Sceva and his 7 sons. They do not have that personal connection with Jesus. They know him, but they do not have that personal connection. They have not made a commitment to him. They can quote scriptures. They can share references out of the Bible. They can tell you something about the Bible. But they're lacking that personal connection with Jesus. They want to be in that relationship, but they do not want to let go of the world. They got 1 foot in, 1 foot out. They don't want to fully cross over and make that commitment. They want to have their cake and eat it too. Hopefully today God has answered some questions. Why are we going through the problems we go through? Why is that person acting to us? Why are we having difficulties? Why? Why? But more importantly, we need to make sure that when we have to face God at our time of judgment, that Jesus doesn't say to us, many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in your name, cast out demons in your name, and done many wonders in your name? And then Jesus declares to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practices lawlessness. I ask everybody to please stand.